The simple answer to what Meta does is this: it sells your attention, not metaphorically. That is the literal business model confirmed by tech reporters who have covered the company for years and by Meta employees themselves. The family of apps, which is Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger, reaches 3.58 billion daily active people as of late 2025, and virtually all of the revenue those apps generate comes from advertising. Specifically, it comes from the fact that the more you use these platforms, the more Meta learns about what you want, what you fear, what you are likely to buy, and who you are as a consumer, and then it sells that profile to advertisers who want to reach people exactly like you. The machine learning systems that run in the background when you post a photo are not there to improve your experience in any meaningful sense. They are there to tag what is in the photo, correlate it with other data points about you, and make your advertising profile more precise. That is the engine. Everything else is either a product that feeds that engine or a bet that something else might eventually replace it. Now, here is where the story gets more interesting. In 2021, Zuckerberg announced that Facebook was becoming Meta and that the company's future was the metaverse, a virtual reality environment where people would work, socialize, and spend their time as digital avatars. The company invested approximately $80 billion in this vision over several years through its Reality Labs division. Nobody used it, or more precisely, so few people used it that by any reasonable measure, the project failed to reach the adoption it needed to justify the investment. Reality Labs posted a $6 billion operating loss in just the fourth quarter of 2025 alone, and its cumulative losses since 2020 now exceed $75 billion. This is the number that is hard to process. $75 billion spent on a product category that currently has a tiny fraction of the users that Facebook had in its first 2 years. And yet, this failure did not sink Meta because Meta was simultaneously printing money from its core advertising business. The company reported over $200 billion in annual revenue in 2025. The losses from Reality Labs, staggering as they are in absolute terms, were absorbed by a business that generates roughly that much in a year. So where does that leave Meta now? Two places, and both of them are bets on the same underlying thesis. The first is artificial intelligence. Meta has guided for between $115 and $135 billion in capital expenditure for 2026 alone, up from about $70 billion in 2025, almost all of it going toward artificial intelligence infrastructure. Its open source Llama model family surpassed 1 billion cumulative downloads by March 2025. Meta AI, the consumer-facing assistant built on Llama, reached 1 billion monthly active users, which according to Zuckerberg makes it the most used AI assistant in the world by that metric, ahead of ChatGPT at around 810 million monthly users. The AI investment is not just about building new products. It is also already working to improve the core advertising business by making the apps more engaging and the ad targeting more precise, which is why Meta's revenue growth has tripled over the past 3 years. The second bet is hardware, specifically the Ray-Ban smart glasses, which represent the most unexpected success story in Meta's recent history. 7 million pairs of Ray-Ban Meta glasses were sold in 2025, up from a combined 2 million across 2023 and 2024 together. EssilorLuxottica, the eyewear company that makes Ray-Ban, has described the category as performing exceptionally well and says it now accounts for more than a third of the company's revenue growth. Meta has had to pause international rollout of its newer display model due to what it describes as unprecedented demand and limited inventory. This is not a gadget that tech enthusiasts are buying to review on YouTube. This is a product that is selling out in mainstream retail locations, which is something the Quest VR headset never came close to doing. The strategic logic Zuckerberg has articulated to reporters is consistent. He does not want to be dependent on someone else's platform the way Facebook spent 15 years being dependent on Apple's App Store and Google's Play Store, paying their toll and operating under their rules. If artificial intelligence becomes the foundational layer of how people access technology, and he believes it will, he wants Meta to own its own model and its own hardware, rather than building on top of infrastructure controlled by a competitor. The internal reality of working at Meta toward these goals is less clean than the strategic narrative suggests. The company's culture has historically been described by employees as deeply competitive in ways that produce anxiety rather than innovation, with teams set against each other in ways that make internal politics corrosive. The current AI push has added a specific new pressure: Meta is reportedly monitoring employee activity, including mouse movements and keystrokes, in order to train its AI systems, while simultaneously reducing headcount in trust and safety and integrity work in favor of generative AI engineering. Employees who have left the company describe a workplace where the explicit internal message is that artificial intelligence is being built to replace many of the jobs people currently hold, and where the job security that Meta's compensation packages used to imply has become significantly less certain. Whether Zuckerberg can pull off the transformation from social media company to artificial intelligence infrastructure company is genuinely unclear. The Good Work video captures the honest skepticism from reporters and analysts. Well, no one has done what Meta is attempting, which is to hire talent from every major AI lab at extremely high cost in public with enormous capital expenditure commitments and pull it together into a coherent frontier AI capability from a standing start. But the counterargument to that skepticism is also real. Meta has done something almost exactly like this before. In the early days of mobile, Facebook was a desktop product that was genuinely at risk of being left behind by the shift to smartphones, and Zuckerberg made the call to make the company mobile first, even at significant short-term cost. It worked. The advertising engine that generates over $200 billion a year runs almost entirely on mobile. The question for the next decade is whether the same playbook works for artificial intelligence and hardware when the competition includes Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Amazon rather than a single platform transition. If this gave you a clearer picture of what Meta is actually doing with your attention and your data, subscribe and leave a comment below about whether you think the Ray-Ban glasses or the AI assistant is the smarter bet for Meta's next decade, because I want to know where you see this going.